Hello everyone, this is the recording of lab 8 for ITSY4105 network security B. Securing Linux and transforming an Ubuntu machine to a cloud server. We can transform any Linux machine to a cloud server by just installing some features, or let's say some service. So this exercise will show you how to enable the feature to secure Linux cloud server. So to employ your machine or any machine, any Linux machine to be employed as a cloud service or cloud server, you should be sure that it is secure. Linux, it offers many options to secure your machine. Let's see how it offers these services. For example, to communicate securely via between two machines, we can use some secured protocol and avoid native protocol like Telnet or FTP. We know that these protocol, for example, to connect to a remote desktop or a remote machine using Telnet, or to transfer files, these protocol use transmission in clear text, in plain text, without encryption. We can build over those two protocols, for example, a secured protocol, secured version of this protocol. For example, instead of using Telnet, we can use SSH, secured shell, and use instead of using FTP, we can use secure copy or secure FTP. Okay, these three protocols can be an alternative to unsecured protocol like Telnet or FTP. For example, SSH is a protocol to connect to a remote machine by using a secure encrypted channel, of course, over a public network. Example of public network, like the internet. The internet is a trivial example of a non-secured channel. Let's call it a public network, or the Ethernet, the LAN of the college, for example. It's a public network for the internal users. Okay, so we can build a tunnel or encrypted channel on top of this public network, and we can transmit files and some other service. A nice implementation of SSH is called OpenSSH. OpenSSH is the library used by Unix-like system to implement this protocol. Okay, it's natively implemented in most of the Linux machine. If not, we can install it. It depends with the distribution of the machine. For example, in Ubuntu, we can set sudo apt get install SSH or OpenSSH. On Windows, for example, you can use putty SSH. On Linux and OS X also, normally you will find this protocol natively installed. Also, with SSH it came secure copy, because secure copy, it's a built-in features on top of OpenSSH. And secure copy use the protocol SSH to transmit files, to copy files from machine to machine, remotely. So in order to use secure copy, we need the same library, the OpenSSH. We'll come back to this example later after establishing the SSH protocol. Besides SSH secure copy, there is also secure FTP. Secure FTP, it's nothing like FTP on top of SSL, on top of SSLs. And R synchronization is another utility commonly found on Unix system. It's also a protocol to synchronize between copies of the same file in two computers. We call this synchronization. We'll see one example from these protocol or two, SSH and secure copy. Okay, I have here a virtual machine. Where I have here Kali, which is running here. Log in. This is Kali machine. And also I have another machine for the purpose of testing, of course, which is Ubuntu. Okay, these are two machines which I will use in this lab. I may put them like this to be able to see them both. Okay. So here he give you some other features to add or remove users, etc. if you need to do so. For example, user account security policy. He will come back to SSH, but he here in the lab they want to introduce you how to add and manage users. So practicing good control over your user account can be a big step towards a more secure cloud server. That's the cloud server, what he's doing. He manages account and profiles, etc. Through of course those protocols, by using one of these protocols. Follow the example in this guide to find out how to perform some of the basic user account management tasks and how to implement a few added security measures. So how to add a new user in a Linux machine? By this command, add user, and you give the name of the user. Of course, you need to be a super user in that machine to be able to do so. For example, in my Ubuntu machine, I am here a super user. I have root password for that. So add user. I give the name of the user. For example, I give the name. For example, test2. Okay, see, only root may add a user or group to the system. So I need the sudo privilege. He asked me for the password for the super user for sudo. I give him. Now he has added the new user, and he give you alternative to give him a password. What is the password that should be used with this profile, test2? For example, I will say I will type some. It will not be shown, of course, but what I should type, I should remember it for my user. I retype again the password. Full name test2. I don't know. Test2. Test2. Room number by default. I will let by default values here. Is this information correct? Yes, it's correct. That's it. If you want to verify if I had added a users, name it test2. I'll switch to the user. See here, test2, full name of my user. You can enter to this new account. I give him password, simple password. just the letter A to be able to go fast. So this is the new profile of user test2. You see here, yeah, if I open the terminal, this is the new user test2 on the machine اللي هي has the name Ubuntu. Okay, I don't need anymore this user. I will log out. I enter to my user here, and that's it. If you are in an Ubuntu server, you can use an alternative command, name it add user test2 for example, or any name that you will choose, followed by the command sudo. Here, because I use an Ubuntu desktop, not an Ubuntu server. Okay, but it's the same. It's does not go too far from the syntax. Here, another feature that you need to do if you will set up a cloud server, the fact that you will disable a root login. What is a root login? What he intend to understand by this. Let's first try to make an SSH connection. I will go back to oh, he doesn't make it. I will try to enter by SSH. You see here, you need just to find out what is the SSH command to enter to a given user. This just a minute. This is the syntax. You can access this syntax from here, or you can access it also from the command, man ssh, for example, man ssh, and you can enter the same man page, the same helper page, where you will use this command. How can we use this command? You need to specify the command ssh followed by the parameters. With parameters, it can be specified. If you read all the helper file, how to access remote user, you just need to know the IP address of the machine that you want to access and the profile that you need to access. Here, for example, we have two machines. This one is having the IP address 10.0.0.2, and this one Ubuntu machine has if config it's not installed also. Okay, I can go to setting here. I have configured the machine here to have 10.0.0.1 as the IP address, and with subnet mask on 8-bit. يعني 255.0.0.0 يعني subnet mask on 8-bit والhost ID on 24-bit. They should be in the same network, so they should be in this having the same net mask. I go here to the Kali machine. Advanced network configuration. I go to setting. See, I give these two machines two IP address and the same subnet mask. For example, Ubuntu is 10.0.0.1, Kali 10.0.0.2. والnet mask the same on 8-bit. يعني هذه النت ماسك 8-bit، النت ماسك على 8-bit والهوست على 24-bit، which mean the mask is 255.0.0.0. يعني configuration in Kali and Ubuntu not exactly the same how we configure it, but technically the same. It's the same thing. Okay, and I have to be sure that my two machines they are interconnected together. يعني they are in the same network. You be sure that Kali has the network here, internal network adapter, by going to setting network, and you choose to attach it to the internal network having this name. This name, it can be anything, but it should be the same name as the Ubuntu machine. Okay, the same network name. We choose the by default name اللي هو AntNet. And also Ubuntu, let's see the configuration of Ubuntu. It's attached to the internal network and the name is AntNet. See, they are interconnected. To be sure that they are interconnected, let's ping between these two machines. This Kali is 10.0.0.2, so we'll ping to Ubuntu 10.0.0.1. See, it's responding. I will cut. Also, I will ping from there. Close this. Close this. I ping to Kali having the address 10.0.0.2. So it's responding. Now we are sure that they are interconnected, these two machines. What I need to do now is to activate the SSH server. I have said that to activate SSH server, we need to enter to the man page, the user SSH, and you specify the destination. Okay. Let's see how to start service SSH. Using Open SSH. Okay. Okay. We can use this command to start the service. Sudo service SSH start. Okay. Okay, now the server is listening. Is listening to the port number 22. I think he's using port number 22. Let's use command sudo system ctl stay2 ssh, and we show that the daemon is running and he is listening to port number 22. Okay, see server listening on 000 port يعني destination port 22. يعني there is a daemon who is listening. Daemon is the server here. Okay, name it ssh daemon sshd. Okay, I type q. Now I go to the other machine and I try to connect to one of the users, one of the spaces, one of the profile موجودين here. I will use for example test. So SSH, I have to be sure the SSH is installed also in Kali. Yes, it's installed. So I use SSH I try root IP address of the Ubuntu, which is root at 10.0.0.0.1. So he asked me for the password of the root. Password of the root is hello. Now I'm on the root machine, on this profile, on this Ubuntu machine. Root user, super user on top of Ubuntu. I tap exit to go out. Now I will see here I will log. See here session opened for session opened for user root by UID0. يعني this is the login process. He has registered that someone has connected to this to the root user. From where? From 10.0.0.2. Okay, source port number of course here random source port number. The client will use a source port which is random, but he's seeking the destination number 22 on port 22. So our server has reported this, has logged this activity. I will log again. I will try to connect remotely, but using another user. See here, I have another user named Rahom. Okay, but on Ubuntu machine. Okay, I will try to access this user. So using the same command, SSH, the name of the user that I want to connect, والIP address, the IP address. He asked me for the password of this profile, this user. So I connect. Now I'm in this user. You see, I can type any command that I can type here. Okay, this is the desktop and the home profile of the user of Ubuntu named Rahul. To be sure, let's make a test. For example, I go to home. I create. Let's go to application. I use a text editor. I create a file. Hello, this is the machine Ubuntu and the profile. I save it, Ctrl S. I give it a name, example.txt, and I save it under home. I close. See, this is the file that I have created now on Ubuntu machine under the home of Rahuma user. This is the file. Okay. Now, if I'm really connected to this user, to this profile, to this space, I can access this file. So I use the command ls, for example, to show all the files and directory existing on that machine. One of the files is example.txt, which was not there from the previous command ls. See, I have created the file here, and I have accessed the same space, the same profile from the Kali machine using SSH. And also I can read the file, for example, using the cat command. See, hello, this is the machine Ubuntu and profile Homa, which has as a result to copy paste the content of that file that I have created. See, also I can enter before entering I will exit. I can enter to another user. I have named it switch user test, for example. I enter to test from Kali machine, for example, كله SSH test at 10.0.0.1, and he asked me for that password, the password of that user. Okay, now I'm in another profile, small test, another user, name it test. Okay, on the home of test there is no file named example. That example file exists on the home page, profile of the user home. Okay, this profile, it's another user. Okay, it's another user. So I have used 3 different users to connect using SSH. One of the good practice that you need to do is to disable root login. I will let 2 users, home or test, authorizing the access from remote machine, but I will change the configuration of the daemon of SSH to deny the access of root. Okay, by entering this file, configuration of the daemon of SSH server يعني exists under etc directory SSH. Okay, you can use nano editor or any other editor to configure this file by finding this line where you will find a permit root login. You will set it as no, you will deny any tentative to access to the router of user Ubuntu. So I go to Ubuntu, my server is still on. Can check your server status, it's still on, and he reported all the tentative that I have done. You see here, someone has connected to root by using this source port from this machine اللي هي Kali. Session open it after this password has been entered for user root. بعدين I have exited this session. I created another session with to access this account رحومة, of course with another random source number but the same machine اللي هي Kali 10002. بعدين I have closed this connection, this session. I have opened another session by test, user test, of course using another source port but the same machine Kali. All of this is log. You can check all these log through the file of the login file of the SSH server. Okay. Q. What I need to do now? I need to change the configuration. So I go to. I don't have nano here. I will use gedit. sudo gedit under etc under ssh under ssh daemon configuration. So this is the file of the configuration. Any configuration of used in service of Linux, they are done through files, through text file like this. This, for example, the configuration file of the SSH server. I will check for the line where he evoke authentication. This one. This sign, yes, say a comment. It's not read by the server. But this line, you see, permit to root login, said yes. You can access to the root user remotely. So to be able to secure our server, it's better to disable this privilege, because you know the root, it's a super user. If someone can access the super user remotely, we don't know if he is a hacker or if he's a malicious actor, or even he has good intention but error happen, you know. So it's better to give the least privilege for action or for modification made by remotely, unless you are sure what you are doing. So we set this to no. The root cannot access remotely to its account remotely. So I click Ctrl S to save. Now it's saved. Okay, I check again. So it's not saved. Now I will try to access. I will try to access to the router. So SSH. So I need to go. I need to restart also. After changing the configuration, I need to restart the server by sudo service SSH restart. Sudo service restart. Now it's restarted. I go to the Kali machine. I try to access to root. That's what I need to test, of course. على machine 001. Can I do that? He asked me for the password. I give him the password. Permission denied. You see? Permission denied. يعني ايش يعني ال SSH server has denied the access of this user to access to the root user in the machine 10001. That's what we have done by this command. The permit root login. No, do not permit root login remotely using SSH. Okay, even if you give the right answer, right password, he will deny it. Deny. See, permission denied. If I try to log in through another user, يعني test مثلا, فما user اسمه test, normally he will accept it because there is no restriction. See, I'm into test now, into test of Ubuntu, not Kali, هذا Kali, but I have used SSH to enter this. I can also enter the other user on top of Ubuntu. I give him, it's okay also, it's okay. Permission granted here. Only the root user has been denied to access because of security, of course, security policy to deny, يعني to restrict the access of the root remotely. He should access only locally because any misconfiguration or any يعني action using the root privilege, it can do harm to your machine, to your server. Okay. Okay, before setting up a firewall, let's come back to the other protocol named secure copy. Yeah? Secure copy. If you have installed OpenSSH, it's normally installed on Ubuntu or in Kali. You have also secure copy with it because it's in the same library. Secure copy, if you want to copy a file from machine to machine, implicitly you are using SSH, of course. For example, here in this example, he used the command secure copy to copy a file, a local file here, a local file. In our example, from the Kali machine file, from the Kali machine, it's a file in the Kali machine, Kali Linux machine. To Ubuntu using one of the users, Homa or test or test2 or root, under some directory. Okay, you can choose this, which directory you will choose to copy past yani, this file from Kali to Ubuntu. If you want to make the inverse, you want to copy a file from here Kali, not Kali, a file from Ubuntu machine. You see here the syntax, you give the name of the machine. Given the name of the machine using SSH, you need to give the username, yani you need to give the profile, which is test or test2 or root or homa. On the address IP 10.0.0.0.1, for example, 2:: yani the file which exists under this machine, under this profile. Where you will copy it, you will copy it here in this directory in the local machine, somewhere in Kali Linux location. Okay, let's do this. We take a file, for example, let's have what file we have, مثلا the same file, example, this one, example. Let's try to copy this file from Ubuntu to Kali using secure copy. If we use the same syntax as stated by the lab, we use secure copy. From where? From this user existing on this address, of course, where exactly where? If you are under home directly, you don't need to specify the path. Okay, you just write the name, yani, the name of the file. Okay, we are exactly under home. So accessing this user at 10.0.0.1, we are under home directly. So we just write the name of the file. قلنا هو example.txt. Okay. This is the source. We call it the source. This one is the source. Secure copy this file اللي هو example.txt. Where is this file? It's under home of Rahuma at machine 10.0.0.1. Where you want to install it? Here, for example. I want to install it under download مثلا. Under download. I have here of course I have a folder, a directory named download here. Okay, this one, downloads. Downloads. See here in the download there is nothing. Call it example.txt. Okay, let's now copy. He say me elliptic curve DSA K fingerprint is show to this one. Are you sure you want to continue connected? Yes, I'm sure. Because you are using secure copy, you are implicitly using SSH. So he asks you for this, for the password of the username, name it Rahum. I give the pass name. So this is the result. Example.txt, 100% copied. How many bytes? There is 53 bytes. The speed of connection, the speed of the copying, 168 kilobit per second. Okay. Let's take a look. Open folder. Where is the file? Let me check. Password. Yes. Oh, of course. Yes, I'm still under the machine Ubuntu. I go to exit. Secure copy. You see what I have made. I have used secure copy from the يعني I used secure copy from the terminal of this user from Ubuntu, not from Kali. I need to make an exit and enter to Kali terminal here, then use secure copy. Because the local here, the local it's the download of who? Download of Ubuntu, not the download of Kali. So you need to experience by yourself to be able to understand this. I have said the name is example.txt to downloads. Okay. Home password. You see, this is the file copied, 53 byte speed, etc. You see here the speed, it's more than 15 times or 10 times faster than this, because we are copying the file in a local machine. Okay, here it's from machine to machine. Okay. Speed is less. Let's check for the download. Where's download? It's here, CD download. ls. See, this is the file example. It's here. It has been copied. Okay, you can see it visually also. This is the file which has been copy pasted from Ubuntu machine to this machine اللي هي كرب. Also, if you need to, for example, I have this file, PDF file, okay. lab3, name it lab3. I'll change the name here to not have spaces. I will use this file to copy it to the Ubuntu machine. I use the syntax, if you want to copy a local file, yes, and you specify the remote machine. Okay, let's do that. On the Ubuntu machine, I will copy it under download. You see, under download of Ubuntu, there's one file named example. I will copy the PDF file here using secure copy. Okay, secure copy. Under download, file name it. What is the name of the file? We have said lab3, lab3, I think. I need to check. Let's. We are under download. Okay. Lab3. Okay. Secure copy. I do not need to make the absolute path because we are already in downloads. So I will copy it directly like this. I will write the name. Do not forget that Unix is case sensitive. To my user 10.0.0.1 under its download. Downloads. Of course, he asked me for the password because he's using SSH. Lab3 was copied 100%, 3 megabyte, 89 megabit per second. So fast. Good. Let me check SSH. CD download. See, the lab3 is there under Ubuntu profile or home under download. Let's go to Ubuntu. You will see the file. It was copied here, lab3.pdf. This is how to use a secure copy, and this is what are the type of service normally installed by a cloud server. This is the simplest way. This is the basic way. The services are complicated, but they are using these basic protocol, okay, because they are secured and tested in very detailed levels. So you can code an application for your own cloud server in order to give service to users. Okay. What else? Of course, secure FTP also he do the same thing, but using SSH, and our synchronization is somehow for synchronization between the same copy of files located in different machine. You can synchronize between files doing this, but I think it's sufficient to experiment secure copy for this occasion. Now, for your cloud server to be secured, you need to set up a firewall for it. Some common solution for a network and computer security is to set limitation to which connection are allowed. Yani, firewall, you know that it's here to filter traffic coming from from the outside. Also, he can filter traffic going to the outside, yani from the inside going to the outside. What we call by traffic service. We can filter through protocol, we can filter through machine, يعني source or destination, address IP, or destination port, source port, all of that. One of the firewall, basic firewall existing on Linux machine is called epitable. We can manipulate epitable rules to let traffic to filter, to choose from the traffic that come in to our machine or going out from our machine. User space application program epitable allows configuring the table provided by the Linux kernel firewall, kernel core of Linux machine, as well as the chains and rules it store. Any table it contain rules. Those rules are applied in subsequent way. The kernel module currently used for iptable only apply IP version 4 traffic to configure firewall rules. For IP version 6 connection, instead we use another version of iptable named IP6 tables, which respond to the same command structure as iptable, which is oriented for IP addresses version 4. To list what are the rules existing in our IP table now, we can use IP table. Of course, you can enter man page to see how you can manipulate IP table. You can read this to know the syntax, description of IP table, targets, to specify what are the tables. By default, for example, this is the default table. If no T option is passed, it contains the built-in chain input for packet destined to local sockets, forward for packet being routed through the box, and output for locally generated packet. These are the different tables, different chain, we call it chain. Input rules specified for the packets coming to our network card. Output specified to filter traffic going out from our network card, and the other chain named forward. It's designed for packets to filter packets going through our network card, because we can have we can have more than one network card. In that case, if you see it as a firewall, there is many one input and many output. Okay, it's passing through your machine. You need to specify rules for all of these chain. If you do not specify the T option, by default he will apply this 3 table يعني this chain table filter. Okay, he filtered the traffic for this. You can go through options. For example, the option A is to append يعني is to append another rule. When we append we will write at the end of the selected chain. If we select the chain input to filter the input bucket, when you add a new rule, this new rule will be written at the end, at the end of the list, of the access control list. We name it access control list. What else you will need to see? Delete. If you want to delete, if you want to delete a rule, you can use the option D. What else? Option L is to list all the rules. I just show you the most frequent most frequent option that we are using by IP table. Flash to flash all the selected chain. All the chain will be deleted. It's a word to. It's equivalent to deleting all the rules one by one. What we need, what we call by flash. We flash all the list, not just a rule. We flash all the list here. We use D for flashing. For deleting a rule, we use F option to delete all the list. What else? P to set the policy. Policy is accept or drop. You let the packet which is matching a given rule to be accepted, or each packet matching a specified rule will be dropped. Will be discarded. This is the functioning of a firewall. He will accept packet, or he will deny or drop a packet. Drop mean that he will deny the packet without informing the source. Without informing the source that it has been dropped, he will just drop it. Also, parameter IP version 4, IP version 6, if you need to specify. It's necessary for filtering a service, because you need to specify what is the protocol. عادة البروتوكول هو TCP UDP ICMP، هذا ما الأكثر مستعملين. TCP UDP and TCMP. و S to specify the source address from where the packet is coming to be filtered. If you say that I will drop all the packet coming from 10.0.0 to 10.0.0.2, in that way you need to specify this option -S, and you say 10.0.0.2. هي مهمة. It's important to learn about this. D for destination address, going to where, going to which machine. Matching we use it to match some fields in the packets. For example, packet coming from an established connection, we use the match option to check if that packet is coming from an established connection. We use that. G to jump to the target. If a given rule satisfy all the fields of that packet, jump directly to the action. Drop or accept. No need to read the subsequent rules. Jump directly, apply the action. That's the meaning of jump. Go, you need to specify G or go, one of these two. Okay. go to. This specifies that the processing should continue in a user specified chain. Unlike the jump option, return will not continue processing in this chain, but instead in the chain that called as via jump. You see عكس بالضبط عكس jump it will apply directly, it will not read the subsequent rules in the same chain. يعني in the current chain it will go to another chain. إذا هي تعمل في process in input, it will go to another chain output or forward. بينما go it will read the subsequent rule, etc. etc. You can read the man page for that. Okay. Of course, I need to go to the Ubuntu machine, not the Kali machine. Okay. It's the same. iptable is installed in Kali or Ubuntu. Same. It's there also. iptable موجودة. Man. iptable. What we need to know? We need to see what rules are there in our iptable. Log file. We need to make permission, sudo permission iptable lista. He asked me for my password. I gave him the password. You see, iptable is empty. iptable for input, chain input, it's empty. You see, you will find the rule or the list of rule here under target, protocol, option, source, destination. Another chain named forward. We say same description. What is the target, protocol, optional, source, destination, and the third chain named output. You see, it's empty. Now we will populate this iptable, this firewall, your kernel firewall of Linux, to be secure. Imagine that you will transform this machine as a cloud server, so it should be secure. Okay, we need to configure that firewall. If we follow here, after sudo iptable, he found the same thing. All of them are here also empty. The chain names indicate which traffic the rules in each list will be applied to. Input is for any connection coming to your cloud server. Output is any leaving traffic, and forward for any pass-through. Each chain also has its policy setting which determines how the traffic is handled. If it doesn't match any specific rule, by default it's to accept. يعني by default policy is accept. If there is no rule, we will accept. If there is no rule, we will accept. This is the optimistic way, because in using firewall, he said here there is two ways to filter packets. Either set the default rule to accept and then block any unwanted traffic with specific rules. Yani you just let only the service that you need. The rest, yani the remainder, any other service will be blocked, will be dropped, which is named as unwanted traffic. This is the pessimistic point of view, yani, of firewall. Or the other application on how to see things, or by using the rules to define allowed traffic and blocking everything else. You allow what I have said here. Either set the default rule to accept and then block any unwanted traffic with specific rule, or by using the rule to define allowed traffic. No, he mean to say you need to write a rule to block some service and accept the rest, or to accept some service and block the rest. يعني there's two ways. There's two ways to see to apply firewall. The latter is often the recommended approach, which is allow what you need to allow and block everything else. This is the nicest way to do things because you are not aware of vulnerable service in your machine. يعني do not let your some open pore in your machine. It's better to only let wanted traffic, allowed traffic, and block the rest. This is the pessimistic way. Okay. And is okay rather than having to reactively reject connection that should not be attempted to access your cloud server. This is better. To begin using IP table, you should first add the rules for allowed inbound traffic for the service you require. IP table can track the state of the connection, so use the command below to allow established connection to continue. What is this? What is the meaning of this? Yani, you need to you will find it in any firewall. This rule. You need to let establish the connection. يعني inbound. يعني إيش inbound؟ يعني someone from the inside, from the internal network, including yourself, including the local host, is making a connection to an outside server. If he is the initiator of that connection, so you should let this connection go on, because the server, the outside server, will respond to the connection from the inside, from the inbound, and there will be an exchange. IP table, he can track this connection because it has a sequence number, and you see synchronization flag, etc. All the TCP work you are because established connection, it's given for TCP, the TCP based protocol for application using TCP. So you will need to allow these kind of traffic, okay? Because EP table can track, he can follow, and he can decide if a common packet is a follow-up from an early initiated packet going from the inside to the outside. He will let it, because he will let it go through the network or the machine. So sudo هنا for permission, root permission, EP table الcommand, append يعني option append in the chain input, which filter the common which filter the common packets that are matching a track of a connection. This is this specific field. This is an option that tracking a connection where the connection state. This is the optional connection CTF to say connection state is established or related. Established or related. Go to accepted. Jump to accepted. Jump and accepted. Do not read the subsequent rules if these packets satisfy these fields. This is the meaning of this. So we can write this. Where is the Ubuntu machine? I will write it in the Ubuntu machine, of course. So sudo iptable append in the chain input that match the track, the connection city state that is established or related to a former inside packet. Jump directly to accepted. It has been accepted. See, let's check if if it is written in the IP table, yes, it's written. You see, target, accept, protocol, any protocol, all, anywhere, coming from anywhere to any server outside, yani anywhere here, anywhere, because it's not specified by default, it's anywhere. And the protocol, because it's not specified, it's all the protocol, yeah. Source, it's not specified, any destination, but it's matching connection state related or established. Well, policy is to accept. See, accept this packet. You accept any packet matching this. Any packet matching this. That is coming from the inside. That is coming to the inside. Chain input. That is coming to this machine. يعني. We have done this. You can check that the rule was added using the same pseudo IP table. Next, allow traffic to specific port to enable SSH, because we have a service SSH. We have a cloud server that has SSH enabled. So we need to let SSH pass. If you do not let it pass, the carry machine will not be able to connect to those profile test 2, Rahoma, etc. Okay, so you need to, because you have a service that you are offering, اللي هو SSH, you need to add it in the IP table. That's we have to remember, يعني when you are, let's me, so sudo IP tables append, يعني do not rewrite ولا do not override, يعني do not write on top of the rule. You should append it. Do not delete any rule existing in the chain input. يعني بما أنه, because SSH use TCP for destination port 22, we can write it. See, TCP or ما قلنا option P to specify what is the kind of the port هو TCP, because you are using SSH. destination port المفروض نكتبه 22. it's the same, SSH here 22. I will try it here. Accept. Let's check. See, in the input chain there's two rules. الرول الأولى, accept all anywhere, يعني accept everything, satisfying established connection. والرول الثانية, accept any packet satisfying which is يعني using the protocol TCP on the port destination number 22 اللي هو نقصد به SSH, because SSH is a reserved يعني port. We write 22 or we write SSH, it's the same thing. Okay, we can write something else مثلا. We can add something else مثلا 23 I think telnet. Let's check. See, there's three rules. We accept TCP from anywhere to anywhere, but having as يعني TCP هو, but having as destination port D port, يعني D port 23 اللي هي telnet, etc. You allow each service you are offering in your from your server, but you need to drop all the rest. We haven't yet done this. SSH in the command translate to the port number 22, which is the protocol used by default. The same command structure can be used to allow traffic to other port as well. To enable access to, for example, HTTP server, if you have a web server here, you need to allow any traffic coming to your destination port 80, because the client will call you will request your service to the port number 80 اللي هو reserved port for HTTP. إذا HTTPS he will reserve for, he will call you for 443 يعني destination port 443 to say HTTPS, etc. I can add this also. TCP destination port 80 say HTTP. see IP table تتزيد فيها ال IP table رابع رول، الرول نمبر 4 شفتها دي الرول نمبر 4 TCP destination port HTTP etc. You can add all of your service because you are a cloud server يعني you have many service to offer and you can install any service. It depends يعني it depends what are the service you are offering. After adding all the allowed rules, you require change the input policy to drop because it's a pessimistic way to see to apply rule يعني allow only the service that you are requiring and block all the rest. So you need to apply the policy P to say policy. We have said إذا رجعت المن IP table you will see the option P to say uppercase P to say specify the port not port نقصد policy. You need to apply the policy drop. So لاحظوا هنا policy is accept because we have said that by default if you do not say anything by default policy هي accept. So sudo IP table policy على الانبوت common packet يعني common packet drop all. يعني ايش drop all؟ drop all the rest. drop all the rest. apply those accept any packet that does not match any of these 4 rules drop it. That's the meaning of let's see now IP table list. Yes, because we have dropped also domain name server and domain and who is taking time now to respond. We have dropped some other service. You see sudo enable to resolve host open to temporary failure in name resolution. The name resolution has been dropped because it's a protocol, it's a service also. We have dropped it for ourselves. We need to, I don't know, we need to accept DNS and whois protocol and maybe there's another protocol in order to not have this error. Okay, but let's see the chain input policy is drop. See, policy is drop. Any other target, any other packet that does not specify the 4 rules of demo, it will be dropped. Okay. Now to check if SSH is activated, is still activated, I will go back to the Kali machine and verify if I have done anything wrong. Yeah. I need to be able to access for example test اللي موجود على الأوبنتو. فهمت؟ هذا موجود على أوبنتو. I need to be able to yes see I have accessed the profile the user test اللي موجود على أوبنتو and I'm using Kali. So IP table is working nicely good. Okay, you can imagine now you can play with these rules. You can delete the rules. I don't know, for example I will change policy to accept to remove that error. Go to accept. Okay. Let's check if everything is okay now. Yes, everything is okay. The service that has been filtered without my consent here has been done, the filtering. Now I can work normally. See, I can add etc. without waiting, because the name resolution protocol has been unfiltered again. It was filtered by this. I can delete, for example. قال لي كيف نعمل delete. نعمل EP table H EP table delete chain. اوكي EP table delete اسم التشين اللي هي input اللي استعملناها احنا input اللي هي common packets، وتعطيها you give the number the number of the rule has the order of the rule. EP table. Okay, I'll give you 4 rules. Let's, for example, delete this one اللي هي third rule. For example, we say EP sudo, of course, sudo EP table delete delete قلنا تعطي اسم الشين is named input. Rule number 3. Let's check. You see, the rule specifying the telnet protocol has been deleted. It has been. We have just 3 rules that will apply. They will try to apply for common packet اللي هما جايين على input chain. And also you can flash all the packets. For example, what we need to say to IRT. Delete or rule in chain or all chain. EP table sudo F. Okay. Sudo EP table F. Let's check. You see, they are empty now. They are empty. Well, policy is accept. If there is no rule في input, no rule في output, no rule for forward, what is the by default policy? By default policy is to accept accept everything. This is a non-secured way to do things. You do not wish to let your server like this. You need to specify rules, etc. But I'm trying to manipulate EP table command here. Okay. This is for the firewall. Oh yes, I have to write some rules in a file. I have forgotten this. Okay, no problem. AP table sudo http ssh established. Yes, this is the list of AP table. Okay, now I need to save these rules. Maybe you are editing rules and making modification, etc. And also when you restart your machine, you will not find these rules. They will disappear. So you need to you need to save these rules to not be forced to write again each time. Yeah. Okay. For that we can save. See, sudo iptable save. The command save. It will write into a file. For example, name it rules.v4. sudo iptables save. What to save? We save it in a file under etc iptable كده. I will save it directly under okay, I will save it here, rules.v4. Okay, ls, see here, file rules.v4. We can see what information there is in this file. This file contain three chain: input accept, forward accept, and output accept. In the input accept, there is three rules. We have appended in input and accept rules for any packet matching the protocol TCP at destination port 80 يعني HTTP request from client يعني from browsers. We are also accepting any request from SSH, from client SSH يعني coming from destination port 22, and we are accepting any response coming from the outside servers. Okay, because it's يعني matching connection state related or established. We accept. This is the information contained in the rules.v4, just for you to save it. Yeah. If you want to override the current rules, you can load. Yeah, you can load this file into iptable if it is empty, or if it is يعني not empty, you can overwrite it. Okay, so sudo قبل ما نعمل شيء, let's check for iptable. You see three rules. Now if we use sudo iptable restore from where هو استعملني from etc iptable location etc iptable rule.v4. I have used rules directly under home, so I write directly from rules v4. Okay, let's check now. I have overwritten the three rules by the same rules. If you need to append, without overwriting, you just use restore with the option n. With the option n, they will write the new rules existing in the rule.v4 after those three rules. Let's imagine that they are different, but it's the same way. Now let's check. See, we have now 6 rules. This way you can configure your firewall very fast if you are using files, and there's existing file that you can use directly. You can apply on the fly. You can configure your firewall by the most common firewall configuration. You don't need to redefine everything and reinvent the wheel from scratch. By using this filing, you can use this. Also, you can automate the restore process at reboot. If you because imagine if my machine will reboot. I will reboot my machine to show you. Restart. If I restart my machine, I will reboot my machine, you will see that IP table is empty. In order to have a persistent IP table rules without losing each time your rules, you can install another package named iptable persistent. If you install this package, he will make this for you. You do not need to make it manually, loading into files, etc. You just write your file, and each time the machine will reboot, he will load all of your rules from that file that you have specified. There is an option here that you need to look for this this service. He will look for this tool. He will look for any rule save it in rules.v4 or rules saved in rules.v6 under the directory ITC iptable. That's why he's using this directory, because this tool is using this directory to load the iptable configuration. I will show you that after rebooting. Control Alt. If I check for my iptable, it will be empty. You see, it's empty. So you need to install this one by sudo apt-get install in order to make it persistent. That's for firewalling. The second part is about the intrusion detection system. Intrusion detection system, it's a tool that making alert to detect any intrusion that suspect if any intrusion has happened, and he use the alert system to do that. It's like the firewall by using rules, but the intrusion detection system does not really filter traffic. No, he just will give the root alert about what is going on in his system. Any suspicious activity will be alerted and will be logged. To do that, you can install dependency. I prefer to go to Snort. Not here. Snort. The official documentation of Snort, because this lab is somehow old. Need to see the recent configuration. Step 1, you need to here Snort he give source file, or for Fedora you can install it directly, or CentOS or FreeBSD or Windows through this file. But for Debian distribution, you need to use this wget, download this file. DAC, he uses DAC tool, and you need to download also snort.2.9. You need to unpack the two files, DAC and snort, and you need to compile them through these commands: configure and make and sudo make and start. Configure, enable source file, make, sudo make and start. That's it. And you use a configuration file, already existing or configuration file, in order to to install snort and to configure it. Okay. This can be given as an assignment. Just follow the tutorial in order to install IDS, and the most famous one is snort, of course. That's it for today. Thank you for your attention, and see you in next lab, inshallah.